Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Rishi Harinan and this is the C News Live Report at noon. Topping the news at this time, police have launched a search for one of its own members who is believed to have gone missing. Conflicting reports in the media this morning stated 22-year-old woman police officer Naisha Joseph was discovered dead in Beetham Gardens. However, we contacted head of the Police Service Social and Welfare Association, who clarified the information was a rumor and officers were still on the ground in search of Miss Joseph. C News understands concerns first arose when the mother of one failed to show up to work on Thursday and relatives and co-workers were unable to contact her. More on this story as it becomes available. A doubles vendor is nursing gunshot wounds after being shot in the vicinity of Medford gas station in Chaguanas. Reports say the incident took place at around 8:30 last night. The victim, identified as Andy Ramjuman, he was said to be next to his double stall when he was confronted by a man. Several explosions were heard and the suspect seen running away. Ramjuman received injuries to the right leg and was rushed to hospital. President of the Public Service Association, Watson Duke, says the timing of the payment of back pay to public servants isn't the best. However, it's better late than never.
They valued the money has been compromised seriously. The value of the money has been compromised seriously based on the exchange rate in 2013 and the exchange rate now in 2017. As a matter of fact, based on certain economists grew, they're saying that it may reach as much as 10-1 later on in this year. That's the exchange of the US to the TT or the TT to the US.
Watson Duke, who is also the minority leader in the Tobago House of Assembly, says the decision taken to dissolve the Tourism Development Company is both good and bad. At Thursday's post-cabinet media conference, the Minister of Tourism said government has been toying with the idea of dissolving the TDC for just over a year now. The proposal is to have two separate entities controlling tourism on each island. Mr. Duke gave his views on Good Morning Trinidad and Tobago.
It gives the impression that some more power to the people in Tobago to manage the tourism industry. It's bad on the next hand because Daddy Rowley still has the umbilical cord attached to him for the TDC. He's still the boss, he still pulls the strings. And so what we really have is a puppet master.
He is also concerned that employees at the TDC will be fired and replaced by members of the ruling People's National Movement.
The Chief Secretary has not shown himself as an independent thinker, but rather a reflector of the Prime Minister. Whatever he says, he answers, he echoes that. And so we are concerned about that in Tobago as the minority leader, as the opposition leader. We are saying while Tobago should have its own tourism development company, the guidelines for such should be made public and more consultation on it should have taken place.
President of the Trinidad and Tobago Incoming Tours Association, Ms. Lorraine Pouchet, says there was no consultation with the stakeholders in the tourism sector before government made the decision to dissolve the Tourism Development Company. Ms. Pouchet said she was informed of the government's decision along with the nation when the minister made the comment during yesterday's post-cabinet media briefing. While she said consultations should have been done, she supports the idea of having different tourism strategies for both islands.
We have always felt that there needed to be separate marketing strategies for Tobago versus Trinidad and Trinidad versus Tobago. We are a Twin Island Republic. However, the product offerings are essentially core different. While Tobago is very sun, sand and sea, rainforest and so on, in Trinidad there are so many other aspects of who we are, our birding, our flora, our fauna, our culture, our way of life, our festivals.
She said there are more questions than answers regarding how the two entities will be managed.
What is going to replace it? What is the agency that is going to replace it? How is this agency going to be comprised? Who are going to populate this agency? Is it going to be people who have the experience, the requisite experience, know-how and qualifications in tourism that could really speak to moving it forward? Is there going to be private-public sector collaboration in the process? Are they going to just put in place who they want to put in place? It is questionable as to how this thing is going to formulate itself.
This is the C News Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at C News Live. The Trinidad Hotels, Restaurants and Tourism Association says it has been advocating for some time now for Trinidad and Tobago to be marketed as two separate entities. But he is concerned about
separation because the two destinations, Tobago and Trinidad, have two different product sets and two different consumers who enjoy that called tourists. Tobago has over 50% of arrivals coming from the UK versus the Trinidad market that has over 40% arrivals from the US.
But he too is concerned about the morale of workers as they now have no job security.
What happens in the interim whilst this is dissolved and all the legislative and legal and employment contractual obligations are settled? Or is the private sector going to be at the table to inform what the new entities look like? And will they be part of the leadership, whether the board or committee levels, of what the intended role of these new entities will be?
So a lot coming out of Tobago over the last day or so, and our reporter Patricia Nicholson has been keeping us up to date, and she is on the line to give us another update. Good afternoon, Patricia. What's the latest and what are Tobagonians saying?
Good afternoon, Rishi, and what I can tell you is we've gotten a reaction from a tourism stakeholder about the plans to dissolve the TDC, Mr. Carlos Dillon, who is a former director of the Trinidad and Tobago Hospitality Institute and one of the directors of the Mount Irving Hotel. He was also a member of the TDC, and he is saying that the move to dissolve the Tourism Development Company is an excellent one. He's also agreeing with the plan to implement a regulatory body. He said that has been something that Tobago has been in need of for quite a while, and he's pleased that the government has now taken steps to implement a body that regulates what are hotels or guest houses, restaurants, the standards that they should maintain. He said that we have never gotten it before in Trinidad and Tobago, and it's something that we definitely need, because he said there's some persons who believe that, you know, you put some rooms in downstairs your home and you call that a guest house. He said that cannot be. He said there needs to be guidelines, certain criteria that must be followed in order to, you know, become one of those guest houses that we market as or as a place to stay when coming to Tobago. So he is in full agreement of the move to dissolve the TDC, and he's also agreeing with the plan for the implementation of a regulatory board. He's saying, however, that Trinidad and Tobago should have one board, one regulatory board, and not two separate boards, one for Tobago, one for Trinidad, that kind of thing. He said Trinidad and Tobago should have one board, and that would regulate our hotels and so forth are kept and maintained.
All right, thank you very much, Patricia, our reporter there in Tobago, Patricia Nicholson, giving us an update as to what is taking place in Tobago. To some other news now. The Minister of Health, Terence Dialsing, says government is to follow through with revamping the public health system, taking on board a report from the United Nations.
To operationalize a UN report of 2013. So I want you to understand this. This was a UN report of 2013 which recommended the establishment of a national public health laboratory system.
Speaking at yesterday's post-cabinet news conference at the Magdalena Grand Resort in Tobago, he said a new national public health laboratory will have under its wing several regulatory systems for Trinidad and Tobago. It is to be built on 9 acres of land near the UTT campus in Balsine.
This will significantly enhance Trinidad's response to public health issues, whether it is Zika or yellow fever or anything else. It will significantly enhance our regulatory capabilities, which Chemistry, Food and Drugs Division has to manage. And right now they are not operational because of OSHA issues.
Minister Dialsing said a state-of-the-art facility would be built and would incorporate all the current regulatory agencies, including CAFA, the Chemistry and Food and Drug Division, and the National Blood Transfusion System. Here's what's taking place in the weather for this afternoon with Ian Wallace.
March is typically the driest month of the year. Today, however, there's a lot of moisture coming across from Guyana. I'll likely see dull, cloudy skies and also a stiff breeze. But a few blustery showers are expected across Trinidad especially, and the gusty winds will continue across both islands into this evening. A comfortable day of 29 to 32 degrees Celsius. For mariners heading out, look for easterly winds of 15 to 20 knots, getting up to 25 knots at times, whipping the waves, bringing some sea spray and the foaming crests, with waves of 3 meters expected in the Caribbean, higher than 3 meters out in the Atlantic, with east-northeasterly swells of 9 seconds. Seas will worsen during the high tide at 3 p.m. before waters ebb for the 9:30 p.m. low tide. That's the latest weather, and I'm meteorologist Ian Wallace.
The University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, has a new Guild Council. Outgoing President Mr. Mackenzie Peters, who served as Guild President for the past 2 terms consecutively, was replaced by Jonathan St. Louis Nahus after students took to the polls on Thursday. In a Facebook post today, Mr. Peters thanked the students for their service and extended best wishes to St. Louis Nahus, saying he does not see the outcome as a loss, but rather a victory that will see the end of one legacy and the beginning of another. An assurance from the Member of Parliament to residents of Moruga that their road will be fixed. On Thursday, residents protested what they say are deplorable road conditions and claimed there is a lack of representation from their MP, Dr. Lovell Francis. But according to the MP, a process needs to be followed.
The easy thing would be, of course, to do what is normally done, which is to do a surface repair. But the problem with this road in particular is that it is very much prone to slippage. So, I mean, there are a number of landslides dotting the road, and that if you just do the casual fix that we generally do in this country, within a matter of months, then you end up in the same situation. So what is really needed is a lot of slope stabilization and the input of proper drainage on both sides of the road.
The popular Trinidad and Tobago film Trafficked, released in 2015, has found itself caught in a battle of ownership, and the matter can soon go before the court. Garth and Natasha Sinclair, who was central to the production of the film, are fighting to have the copyright of the film recognized as their own. On Thursday, they held a press conference and they laid the case for claiming that the program was conceived and created by them.
We embarked on this journey with enthusiasm, raising $945,000 from various sponsors, to whom we made commitments to share the film for use in the field as an educational weapon against those who seek to entrap and coerce vulnerable persons to traffic drugs.
However, according to Sean Hodgkinson, through his attorney, Mr. Sinclair and his team of speakers made multiple inaccurate statements directed at the production company Quirky Films and the film's director, Mr. Sean Hodgkinson. He said documents were also circulated at the press conference with defamatory content aimed at undermining the character and reputation of Quirky Films and Mr. Hodgkinson. As a result, he is refuting the allegations made. In light of this, he is seeking the court's intervention in determining the issue of ownership of all the intellectual property rights associated with the film, and are taking all necessary steps to preserve the goodwill and reputation of Quirky Films. Dr. Rolph Balgobin is no longer the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association. According to a statement from the association at its annual general meeting on Thursday, Mr. Christopher Alcazar was appointed as president. It said Mr. Alcazar currently holds the position of Chief Executive Officer at Vemco Limited and serves as a director on the Export TT board. During his message to the membership at the AGM, Mr. Alcazar cited a number of challenges to the sector, inclusive of the short supply of foreign exchange, and promised to prioritize with the objective of finding workable solutions. Trinidad-based company Tourism Intelligence International has signed a contract with the Ministry of Tourism and the Tourism Board of the Republic of Tanzania. Tourism Intelligence International was contracted to develop strategies for Tanzania to grow market share in North America. The signing took place at the 2017 International Tourism Business Trade Show in Berlin, Germany on the 9th of March 2017. The company said during these challenging times, it is extremely important for Trinidad companies to exploit global markets. It said the success of TII demonstrates that not only big companies, but small companies can achieve wins in the global market. Now, speaking with C News just about 2 hours before the draft of the CPL, its CEO spoke with Nasira Mohammed about what we can expect in this edition of the competition.
I've been speaking to Venki Mysore over the last couple of days, and obviously he can retain as many players as he wants, but he's keeping his cards really close to his chest in terms of what he has planned for this upcoming season. I think KKO really want to win this year, and speaking to him, he's put a huge amount of effort into who he has recruited, and he's been working behind the scenes.
Tremendous numbers in terms of players entered for the draft this year.
Yeah.
What does CPL see that in terms of the growth of the league itself?
Yeah, well, look, as I always say, from a player perspective, CPL is second only to the IPL, and that's a huge way to come in 5 years. It's hard to believe that this is now our 5th year, and I remember, at the start we were dragging players, are really working hard to try and convince the big international stars to come and join us in CPL.
To some football news now, and some sad news. The Trinidad and Tobago Football Association staff members and players of the men's national senior team have extended condolences to the former national player and current assistant coach Stern John on the passing of his daughter Nikila. Nikila, aged 19, passed away on Thursday evening at her Canupia home due to medical causes still to be determined. John was on his way to the national team practice session at the Atterbolden Stadium when he received a phone call that his daughter was not well. He was excused from the session and rushed to the scene at their home. She was pronounced dead later that evening. Nikila was born in Trinidad but lived with John during his playing time in Birmingham from a young age before returning to Trinidad. She was a student of Holy Name Convent. National senior football team coach Dennis Lawrence is eagerly looking forward to tonight's international friendly with Barbados at the Atterbolden Stadium. The newly appointed coach is keen to get his feet wet, but is even more thrilled for the players whom he says have a great opportunity to impress on this outing.
I think it's going to be exciting for the players. I think the work that we've done over the time should have prepared them for a game in this magnitude. So I'm looking forward to it and see how much the boys have taken on board over the last couple of weeks we've been working.
Lawrence selected 20 outfield players and 2 goalkeepers for this encounter and wants the players to take full advantage of the opportunity he is presenting to them against Barbados and impress him in the process.
Yeah, I think from a commitment point they've given enough focus and attention to the work that we've tried to do. Now it's all about execution, and as I said, it's for the players to go out now and just concentrate on the work that we've done, and now it's time to deliver.
And that game against Barbados is from 7 p.m. today at the Atterbolden Stadium. Well, that's how we end the C News Report at noon. I am Rishi Harinan, and remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, you can visit the C News website at ctvtt.com. Have a good afternoon.